All right, this is for Thijs De Rijcke. I murdered that. I'm sorry. So there's a couple things that I would say right off the bat. The first thing is you've got what is called. Just ignore the cat too. She's being cranky. So first thing is what you would call stacking in here. Um, you have stacking going on. So basically, what that means is you're stacking all your major elements, and this, when you break it out, is um, basically broken down into just kind of a base element. And what you should do instead is alternate these a little bit more. In fact, what I would probably do is I would grab this group here and oops, I would move them down over here, and that's going to give you a lot more dynamic kind of feeling going on. And I'm just kind of paint this out real quick here. So this would help. This is going to help you um, kind of lead into the figure. And then the other thing is you have two perfectly symmetrical. Um, so looking at this here, you've got two perfectly symmetrical pieces. So it's the exact same piece. Oops. And so that, I would say, right off the bat needs to be adjusted. I mean, I would go something like this and then pull this down here and maybe start darkening up as you go in here, like so. And then you've got a sun highlight on the back, which wouldn't happen because all your light sources from one angle. So get your lighting properly kind of pieced together. Um, that sort of thing. And then what I would also do is if you want depth of field going on, right now what you've got is you've got kind of these main characters with this as a whole. And what I would do is to kind of break this down like so. Let's darken this up a little bit. I should have cut those guys out and left them on the right layer. Okay, so but you've got this dark up here that basically means it's leaning towards, but and I understand you want to do the fog, but I would go darker, especially down here, and trim out this edge until you get further down. The fog isn't that high because otherwise if the fog was that high, you would not see the characters. And you keep the same consistency because over here you want to have less of that fog. So push out this. The other aspect too is don't clip off your framing elements. Um, and what I mean by that is if you look here, you're creating a tangent by going off. If you're simply create and just this little bump here is going to really push a lot more depth into your individual character here. So even just by doing that, it creates a little bit more um, of your flow and stuff. And I think, and this is just my personal thought, what I would do is I would actually extend the canvas if you can, and create the arch, and then that whole arch as a whole will create a better composition, or it'll create a more interesting. And then what I would do is almost put this back here. And so that being said, then what you can do is, let's see here, and what you can do is kind of layer your fog a little bit more, so you have like the depth going in and out, and that little bit of depth will lead you in and out of the piece a little bit more. And you can see then that creates kind of a path to the eye, by using your brightness. So you want to lead this eye, you want to lead your eye here, coming in like this, and create a path that flows up here. Because as it is now with your existing piece, my problem is my eye comes from this standpoint here. This is my focal point, and then it comes up here, and I just kind of lead off the page. There's nothing to keep me in there. Whereas now everything's kind of pointing back around, and my eye is leading in a couple different areas. Instead, my eye is leading from here because it's got the strong focal point, and I've got this coming up, I've got this coming around, and so I'm more likely drawn to this focal point. There's things that are letting me explore a little bit more. And that's kind of what I would tell you to do. I mean, I think you've got a good, the paint style and stuff like that. Colors match pretty well. But I think adding in some more elemental interest, where I'm really looking at where everything's going. Creating a zigzag pattern, like back forth this way, that leads into the eye will draw me a little bit more. Creating a pattern where I'm looking around, and things aren't falling off the composition. All of those things kind of make more sense when you're painting like this. So those are the things that I would do right off the bat, and I think that just draws out the eye and kind of pushes that whole composition. All right, I hope that helps.